Hello, and welcome to the I.A.T.S.E knot tying tutorial. Today, we are going to review 4 of the most widely used knots in our entertainment industry: the bowline, the clove hitch, the trucker's hitch, and the figure 8. These knots are used in virtually every aspect of our industry. From arenas and stadiums to stage and film sets, these knots are used every day. If you have recently taken a knot tying course, these videos are meant to be used as a review if you want to practice before taking a shift where you may need to use them. Let's get started. Our first knot is the bowline. Widely thought of as the entertainment industry's most useful knot, the bowline can be tied in several ways. Today, we will demonstrate 3 methods for making a bowline. Method 1, the scout method, also known as the rabbit in the tree. Draw out about 4 feet of rope from the tail. This will make the loop in your bowline about 1.5 feet long. Form a small loop about 4 feet from the tail of the rope by taking a bite of rope and twisting towards a standing line. Because the bowline is an asymmetrical knot, it is important to pay attention to how the rope is crossed when you make the loop. Hold the loop at the cross with your left hand. This will help you control the rope as you tie the knot. The tail of the rope is the rabbit. Take the tail in your right hand and follow through the loop upwards from the bottom. As the story goes, the rabbit comes out of his hole, goes around the tree, sees his shadow, and goes back down the hole. Be sure to pull a little extra rope through the knot to leave adequate tail. To tighten the knot, hold the tail with one side of the loop in one hand and the standing line in the other. Then pull in opposite directions. It is not necessary to reeve on the knot to tighten it, but it is important to pull the slack so it does not get caught or become loose, especially in hauling or lifting situations. To untie the bowline, hold the 2 lines where they come through the cinch loop. Then with the other hand, pull the U and the standing line forward. This will release the tension in the standing line so slack can be fed into the knot and make it easy to untie, even if the knot has been under heavy load. As the bowline is an asymmetrical knot, it can also be tied left-handed. The procedure and the thought process are the same, but using the opposite hands. This is what it looks like from the left-handed point of view. Method 2, the cross and flip. This method is good for people who rely on muscle memory. It's a slightly faster method than the scout method, and it's helpful for people who have trouble remembering the process in their head, but can remember the motions of tying the knot. Pull about 4 feet of rope from the tail. With the tail in your right hand and the standing line in your left, cross the tail over the standing line above your left hand. I like to use 2 fingers on top as I cross the lines, and you can use your thumb to hold the lines together. While holding both lines, flip them over away from yourself, creating a loop in the line. When the loop is created, the tail of the rope will be in the loop already and ready to continue. Hold the cross of the loop with the left hand while keeping the tail in your right. Take the tail of the rope and go around the standing line, then back down into the loop. Again, be sure to pull some extra rope through the knot for the tail. Tighten the knot by holding the tail along with one side of the loop in one hand and the standing line in the other. Then pull in opposite directions. Method 3, the quick bowline. This method is often called the fastest way to tie a bowline, and it's used in some situations by experienced riggers and grips that have a very good understanding of the knot. Beginners may find this method confusing and may wish to stay with method 1 or 2 until they have more experience. Pull about 4 feet of rope from the tail. Make a loop by taking a bite of the line and folding it towards the standing line. Grasp the loop and fold it towards the standing line again. Center the standing line in the middle of the loop as you cross them. Pull a small length of the standing line through the loop, creating another small loop. This setup forms a slip knot in the middle of the rope. Leave the slip knot loosely situated. Take the tail of the rope and feed it through the small loop that was created. Feed about a foot of the rope through the loop and turn it back on itself. Hold the tail and that side of the loop together. Gently pull on the standing line while allowing the slip knot to flip inside out. You should see the bowline forming as the knot is pulled through. Continue to pull in opposite directions to tighten the knot. Check that the knot is tidy and adjust as necessary. Our second knot is the clove hitch. It is an excellent cinching knot, often used for attaching line to truss or pipe. Pull out about 3 feet of rope, enough to make several wraps around the pipe which you wish to connect. Lay the rope over the pipe with the tail hanging down the back side. Pull the tail end up from the bottom and cross over the original standing line. You can use the hand which made the cross to hold the line at the cross. Use the other hand to pull the tail up on the other side of the standing line. Feed the tail under the cross line along the original wrap of rope and pull the slack through. The knot should make the telltale shape of the clove hitch, similar to an X. Orient the knot so that it is pointed towards the direction of pull, so it does not roll under tension. Then pull the standing line while holding the tail to tension the knot. To finish the clove hitch, you must add a half hitch or a similar finish, such as a half hitch on a bite. This prevents the knot from rolling out. The clove hitch can be tied from left to right or right to left, depending on the situation or right-handed and left-handed people. The clove hitch can also be used to make a connection on the top of an exposed post. This method can be done very quickly. For average size pipe, use about 3 feet of tail. Take your rope and make 2 consecutive loops. Loop size will change depending on the size of your post. Separate the 2 loops in your hands by grasping the cross at the top of each loop. Turn your wrists outward to open the loops. They will look like a pair of glasses when you spread the loops apart. Twist them slightly, then rotate them together again, back to back. This forms a loose clove hitch in your hands. Put the loops over the top of the post and pull both ends to tighten the hitch. Align your knot with the direction of pull and finish it with a half hitch to prevent it from rolling. Our third knot is a trucker's hitch. Widely used in the entertainment industry as a tie-down knot or tensioning knot between a set piece and an anchor. It can be tensioned by 1 or more persons. From the set piece, run your line over to the tie-down position and back to an appropriate anchor. You can use a sling with a pulley or carabiner at the anchor to simplify making a connection in the middle of a long rope. Bring the tail back towards the set piece to a suitable position where you can make the knot and apply tension to the line. Be sure to position yourself far enough away from the anchor so you have enough length to pull out the slack and to compensate for any stretch in the rope. Take a bite of the rope and make a loop, twisting the bite towards the anchor. Then pull a small section of rope through the loop, creating a slip knot. Tension the slip knot so the loop is about 6 inches long. It is important that the slip knot is adjusted using the line leading to the anchor. If the slip knot operates in the other direction, it will tighten around the line when tension is applied. Feed the tail through the slip knot and pull the slack back towards the anchor. This will give a 2-to-1 advantage as you apply tension. Pull the line until the desired amount of tension has been applied. Pinch the U-turn of the rope at the slip knot with one hand, while using the other hand to hold the tension in the line. The U-turn is the point of greatest friction in the system and is the easiest position to hold tension while you complete the knot. If necessary, have a partner hold the tension while you work. Take a bite of the loose pull line and cross the tension line near the slip knot. Some people like to cross both lines from the anchor with the half hitch, but this is not necessary for the integrity of the knot. Make a half hitch on a bite and take the slack of the lines as you work the half hitch towards the loop of the slip knot. The goal is to keep all the tension in the system while the knot is completed. Make sure the lines are neatly arranged for the knot to function properly. Once the half hitch on a bite has been completed, the knot is secure and it allows the knot to be released quickly when the tail is pulled. An additional half hitch should be applied using the bite loop for additional security and to prevent accidental release. Our fourth knot is a figure 8 and figure 8 on a bite variation. Often used as a stopper knot or end of rope knot to prevent a haul line from inadvertently falling out of a pulley. Start with about 2 feet of rope. Hold the tail in one hand and the standing line in the other. Cross the tail over the standing line and hold the cross with the hand on the standing line. Reach under the cross to retrieve the end. Lift the tail above the cross and feed it down into the loop. Tension the figure 8 by pulling the standing line and the tail in opposite directions. The figure 8 on a bite variation will also act as a stopper knot, but in addition to that, it will create a loop in the rope that is useful as a lightweight lifting loop or a tie-off loop. Start with about 3 feet of rope, fold it back on the standing line, creating a large loop. At this point, you can treat the loop as if it is a single line. Hold the tail together with the standing line in one hand, while holding the loop end in the other. Once this position has been achieved, tying the figure 8 on a bite is the same procedure as with a single line. Cross the loop over the double standing line above your hand and hold the cross with that hand. Reach under the cross to retrieve the loop end. Lift the loop end above the cross and feed it into the double loop. Tension the figure 8 by holding the standing line with the tail in one hand and the loop in the other, and pulling in opposite directions. Be sure to clean up the rope pathways as you tension the knot. It should have a clean look with no twists in the lines when you are finished. As a note, if heavy loads are applied to the figure 8 on a bite, it will cinch on itself, making it very difficult to release and untie. Keep this in mind if you plan to use it under load. That concludes our 4-knot tutorial. With constant use, you will gain a better understanding of these knots and how you can use them in different situations. You may even discover your own methods that work better for you. Practice is important. The goal is to be able to pick up a rope and tie each knot without hesitation. Thanks for watching and stay safe.